For those of you in attendance who do not know me, I'm Matt Parks, and I have the privilege and the honor of serving the members of the credit union as its chairman of the board of directors. Before we get started today, I'd like to recognize some of the public officials here in attendance, a couple of which we hear from later in the program. We have Delaware Senior Senator Tom Carper here with us. We have Delaware's Insurance Commissioner, Commissioner Weldin Stewart. Larry Morris from Senator Carney's office. I believe someone from the Attorney General's Granville Brown. Is he here? John Grimm? Welcome. Well, today is a special day for the board, and hopefully it should ultimately be for the residents of the city of Wilmington and the numerous families who seek assistance from the DCRAC programs. After about a year of back and forth on various issues addressing concerns, we have finally reached the credit union's goal of becoming a member of the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh. I certainly want to thank the numerous folks from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh who did not give up on us. It was definitely a long time working with our regulators and making this happen, so I certainly appreciate all the efforts that you guys did to help us become a member. And of course, I want to thank Discover Bank, who happens to be my employer, who helped provide the capital contribution in order to make this whole thing possible. And we'll hear from the president of the bank here in a couple minutes. As a new credit union, the board felt it strategically important to become a member in the early credit union's existence to be able to access the Federal Home Loan Bank's programs and services for the good of the credit union membership in the community. As a member of the bank, in the short run, we plan to assist vital housing programs in the city with their eligible applications to sponsor Federal Home Loan Bank organizations' applications for the grant programs. And in the long run, someday we hope to be able to use the various capital services and resources that ensure members have access to affordable mortgage products to be able to purchase a home. The credit union charter, which by the way was only one of a few credit union charters that are in existence since the financial crisis, we have a gift here along with the Federal Loan Bank membership for the folks of the city of Wilmington to be able to help those that are unbanked, underbanked, or underserved in this community. We have this mission basically to provide affordable products, both savings and loan products, and in order to meet those needs, we as a board plan to methodically and carefully execute on this mission so the credit union will be strong and capable of serving the needs of the community as a pillar for years to come. So we welcome here today to the credit union, and we certainly appreciate everyone's support. So if you're a member of the credit union, any members out here, I think we got quite a few members here, we certainly thank you for becoming a member, and for those of you who don't, what are you guys waiting for? We have Rashmi here. I'm sure she'd be happy to take your application and your deposit. Thanks again, folks.
Thank you all so much. Right now, I'm emceeing this program, so it gives me the greatest pleasure to invite a very good friend of mine, of DCRAC's, and for Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union, our Insurance Commissioner, Karen Weldin Stewart. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So good to see you. Well, good afternoon, and welcome, Senator Carper and distinguished guests. Today is an event. It's all about working together to solve tough problems, and none are more challenging than affordable housing. Those who know me well know my strong commitment to meeting housing needs of all Delawareans. The important work of Stepping Stones is something we can support. Their partnership with the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh will increase the good they can do for Greater Wilmington. I'm very happy to announce that last Wednesday, Governor Markell signed House Bill 15, which clarifies that captive insurance companies may also become members of Federal Home Loan Banks. For those who don't know, Delaware is the third largest captive domicile in the United States and the sixth largest in the world. Delaware is home to 150 traditional insurance companies. 123 of them are multi-state and multinational companies. And don't forget those 1,000 captive entities that we have here in Delaware. As Delaware Insurance Commissioner, I know that the liquidity that the Federal Home Loan Bank provides to the insurance companies not only make them strong, it also has the opportunity to benefit directly supporting affordable housing. And congratulations to Stepping Stones, and I look forward to the important fruits of your labor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The credit union movement in the state of Delaware is ably supported by the Delaware Credit Union League. So I do want to thank Pat so much for being with me even long before we thought about actually applying and providing full support. And we are now the second credit union of Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh members, so it's a delight. I would love to welcome Winthrop Watson, President and CEO of the Federal Home Loan Bank Pittsburgh, of which we are proud and newest members.
Welcome. I'm gonna do that more often if I get a hug every time. Stepping Stone, it's a remarkable concept. An awful lot of people here really did an awful lot of work to make it happen. So let's start off giving everybody involved a round of applause. The Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh is a government-sponsored enterprise privately owned by our members in Delaware, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. We have a little bit over 300 members. We've got loans to our members which support housing and liquidity of banks. Today have around $70 billion. Our members range from very small members to very large, and we love them all. It takes institutions of every size to be able to provide communities one of the lifebloods that they need, the financing to help their communities grow in housing. And we're very privileged to have that responsibility. Part of our responsibility is to use 10% of our net income for affordable housing, and our commitment is that we do that as best as we possibly can to be sure that the money flows to the people who need it the most. We have since 1990 we've put about $270 million to work to support over 40,000 units of housing in our district. Last year it was 20 million. This year we'll be putting 25 million towards that. So we look forward to, thank you. And we look forward to working with Stepping Stone both to help them on their own liquidity needs, but also to work together in helping the community's housing needs. So thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
You know, this event was not easy to put together. My job was only one job, that was to make sure the weather was lovely. I get an A+. But the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh helped tremendously with all the outreach, with coordination, and the greatest assistance we received was from Discover Bank. So thank you so much. The entire team was here helping us. And I've got to give a big shout out to DCREC staff that spent all of the weekend cleaning. This is beautiful, so beautiful that I'm thinking my 50th wedding anniversary celebration will be here, and you're all invited. With that, it gives me the greatest pleasure to invite Discover Bank's President and CEO, James J. Roszkowski. And if you can't pronounce his name, you can call him Roz. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You can tell Rashmi and I have known each other for a long time if you know Roz, so that's pretty good. Thank you, Rashmi, and the Delaware Community Reinvestment Council for hosting today's event. Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming today. I'm Jim Roszkowski, President of Discover Bank, and I'm excited to talk about why today is a special day for the residents of Wilmington. Today, with the help from Discover Bank, Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union, a Wilmington-based organization, is becoming a member of the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh. With this membership, Stepping Stones CFCU will be able to further meet the needs of its members That was a dramatic pause. Those who reside and work in the city of Wilmington with access to a number of low-cost financial tools and help with applications for the Federal Home Loan Bank's affordable housing program. Supporting a membership like this further deepens Discover Bank's community, its ties with Delaware, and underscores our ongoing commitment to supporting the communities in which we live and work. As many of you know, our bank has been part of the Delaware community for about 30 years. Some time ago, Discover Financial Services purchased Greenwood Trust Company, a small community bank branch located in Greenwood, Delaware. And here we are today. Discover Bank has become one of the largest direct banks in the United States, thanks in part to our Delaware facilities, which are growing and is currently home to over 1,200 employees. As we continue to grow, we remember to always keep our company mission in mind, which is to help people spend smarter, manage debt better, and save more so they can achieve a brighter financial future. As a result, we are committed to supporting organizations like Stepping Stones, and as they continue to provide access to credit, education, and individualized approaches to money matters. Investing in their ongoing success will help improve the local community and its residents by providing the right financial tools and offering access to the Federal Home Loan Bank affordable housing program. We look forward to continuing our support of Stepping Stones CFCU and their membership, as well as with the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh. Thank you very much.
When we began this planning for the credit union, of course, the very first thing we needed was initial capital, and there were two faith-based organizations that I will always recognize for coming through. One was Catholic Campaign for Human Development, and the other one was Peer Trust Commission. So between the two of them, many, many years before we applied for the charter, they had given us $50,000. And the DCREC board did not allow me to touch that money, saying, no, remember, this is in our business plan when we apply for the credit union charter. Said, okay, so we did not touch that money. But as we got very close to making the application, we realized we needed some non-member bank deposits. So we reached out to our Delaware financial institutions, and many banks made a deposit of $250,000 in the credit union. Then there were our community banks that stepped up as well. So two of them I see over here, and that's WSFS, thank you, and Artisans. Am I missing a bank that has a non-member deposit? Discover, of course. Capital One is not here. Oh, there. Hi. Yes. So we, Community. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I need so much help. That's why I've come so far. City also provided our initial capital, and not just that. City gave us Terry Hassan as our very first chairperson for the credit union, and she worked really hard. Terry, thank you so much for being a part of this movement, and now you're going to join us again as WSFS. Yeah. I meant the Delaware Community Reinvestment Action Council has always stayed very true to its mission and its support of the credit unions. I would like to invite our chairperson, Carol Davis, to give a brief few remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome I'm going to actually speak on behalf of the DCRAC board. As the board president, I'm Carol Davis, as Rashmi points out. And as you all know, Rashmi's a handful. You only know on occasion, we know on a day-to-day basis that Rashmi's a handful. But Rashmi's energy is something to be admired. And certainly, we'd like to take a moment to assure her that we are 100% committed with the work of the credit union. I want to echo some of the same sentiments that Matt, the credit union chair, shared with you. And this is an effort really to serve the community. We know the pulse of this community, and knowing that, we set forth to provide services that are conducive for their needs. In addition to that, I want to highlight the marriage between the credit union and DCRAC. And it's the staff of DCRAC that goes forth, interacts with the clients or the residents in this area, and helps them with services. And specifically those services are the tax clinic, the credit clinic, and of course the housing clinic. These are areas of management and expertise that the DCRAC staff offers to the community. Let me just acknowledge before I go any further the DCRAC board. If you would stand, I know we have a couple of representatives here. I see one in particular looking at me. That DCRAC board, just stand, wave. Let me close by saying that we enjoy having you here, that this is a notable endeavor, and it's good to have the support, the variety of support that we have with this initiative. Thanks for your time, and we look forward to your further participation.
It really is so beautiful, and I love standing here and looking out and seeing all of you. So it's just amazing, awesome, terrific. Thank you so much. I now have the distinct honor and pleasure of inviting Peter Knight. He is Director of Government Relations at the Federal Home Loan Bank Pittsburgh, who will do the greatest honor today of introducing someone you really don't need any introduction, right? All right, Peter.
Thank you, Rashmi. And it's just wonderful to hear about everybody working together to make this day happen and to get Stepping Stones membership in the system in the Federal Home Loan Bank. And everything about the Federal Home Loan Bank involves partnership. We have several of our key member institutions, board members here, affordable housing partners, and that's how we get things done. It's not us directly. We can't do anything by ourselves. Also, the policymakers, legislators, regulators play a really important role in what we do. And I do want to briefly acknowledge Commissioner Stewart and her support of some legislation we tried to get about 3 years ago to help the Home Loan Bank lend to our insurance company members on the same terms that we lend to our depository institution members. And it's a pretty arcane piece of legislation, but the commissioner took a leadership role within the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, the national umbrella group, and then also in Dover to get this legislation through, which we got a year ago. And what we're going to start seeing as a result of that legislation is the Federal Home Loan Bank being able to lend to Delaware insurance companies on better terms, which will increase our earnings. And as Winthrop said, our earnings are very strong. 10% of those earnings go to affordable housing. Now, this is a perfect tie-in to my introduction of our keynote speaker. And as Rashmi said, you all know him extremely well, much better than I, perhaps. He has served this country his entire adult life, 3 tours of duty in Vietnam. He's first elected to statewide office at age 29. And then in the course of his career, he spent 10 years in Washington in the House of Representatives. So you think a minute, why are we here today? It's because Stepping Stones wanted to become a member of the Federal Home Loan Bank to avail itself of our affordable housing programs. So those affordable housing programs didn't exist until 1989, which to some in this crowd think of as ancient history, and others it's like 2 weeks ago. But Senator Carper was a member of the House Banking Committee back then. It's now Financial Services Committee, working on a major banking legislation called FIREA. And he worked with Chairman Henry Gonzalez, to develop the Affordable Housing Program, which created a new tithe for the Federal Home Loan Bank earnings, that 10% of our net income would go to affordable housing. So now, 25 years later, we've got almost $5 billion that have come from private sources of capital to meet this critical national affordable housing need. And we're almost at 1 million units of affordable housing in families that have been helped by your legislation. So please join me in welcoming Senator Tom Carper.
Thank you very, very much, Peter. And it's been a pleasure knowing you all these years. I don't think I've ever seen Peter look better. I said, Peter, you lost some weight, haven't you? And he said, you ready for this? 111 pounds. Is that good? Put your hands together. Go ahead, put your hands together. 111 pounds. I'm lying. He's not lost 111 pounds. He's lost 11. And he could go out and run a Caesar Running Half Marathon tomorrow if they were running it. He's in great shape. In fact, I only recognize, I'm a runner too, I recognize him from behind. So, really, really well. Thanks for all you do and have done with your life, my friend. And Matt, it's good to be with you. Thanks for being our chair of Stepping Stones. And thank you, Carol, for being the board chair at DCRAC. Rashmi, thank you just for being you. Just for being you. Karen, thank you for your leadership as our insurance commissioner. And President Watson, that sounds good, doesn't it? President Watson, you know. I mean, that is a tough job, isn't it? A tough job. Every time I look at our president, I think I wouldn't want that job, but a lot of people do. So good luck. God bless him. But Jim, to you and everybody at Discover for being a big part of this, and all the folks from the Pittsburgh Home Loan Bank. That's pretty much all I wanted to say today. But no, not really. Larry Morris is here representing our Congressman John Carney, who now serves today in the House on the Financial Services Committee. He's a much better representative or congressman than I ever was, and it's a pleasure to serve with him. We have Chris Coons. In fact, Chris and I, and John and I started a morning together at Amtrak, the Wilmington shops, and we just came from a meeting at Chris's office, and our delegation was doing stuff together there as well, and focusing on higher education. And now we're here in this beautiful place, just this beautiful place. And how many have ever been and actually in this spot before, actually ever gathered here before? It's you just don't forget it. It's just wonderful, wonderful. Right over here behind that fence, behind those trees is a church. And it's a church, it's a special church, and some of you from Delaware know the one I'm talking about. But 377 years ago, early this year, 377 years ago, a number of Swedes and Finns set off from a place called Kalmar, Sweden, and they're looking for the promised land, and they were heading this way. And along the way, they picked up an African, and it was a slave, as I recall, and they brought him along. So they had Swedes and Finns and one African slave freed. And they headed our way. They sailed until they hit the land masses here, and then they made a right turn. They came up the Delaware Bay, to the Delaware River, and then they came to an uncharted river that they made a left turn on and headed west for maybe 1.5 miles. And they stopped, and you found a bunch of big rocks along the side of the river, and said, "Why don't we stop here?" And they declared this place, the colony of New Sweden. The first Swedes and Finns came to America right here in Wilmington, Delaware. That was before there was a Finland. And the Finns and Swedes were all one big happy family. Well, maybe not that happy family, but you get the drift. First thing they did, they built a fort in which to live and protect themselves. And then they built a church. And the church they built is Old Swedes Church. The longest standing, continuous operating church in all of North America is that church. Think about that. The longest standing, continuously serving church in all of North America is 100 yards from where we're sitting today. And they're still at it. They're still at it. 370 some years ago, the first sermon, one of the first sermons that was preached here, was off of the New Testament from the book of Matthew. And it was actually taken out of Matthew 25. In Matthew 25, some of you have heard this before, I'll just refresh your memories. But in Matthew 25 we read, when I was hungry, did you feed me? When I was thirsty, did you give me to drink? When I was naked, did you clothe me? When I was sick and in prison, did you come and visit me? Doesn't say anything about, well, when I needed a place to live, did you help provide shelter for me, a decent place to live? But it's, I think, implicit in the meaning of Matthew 25. We have an obligation, we have a moral obligation in government to try to meet that scriptural admonition to look out for the least of these. We have a fiscal imperative in a day and age while our budget deficit is way down from 1.4 trillion down to about a third that these days, but it's still too big. And so what we have is a responsibility to try to meet that moral responsibility to the least of these in our society, but to do it in a fiscally responsible way. One of the things Abraham Lincoln used to say, I don't know what part of Sweden he was from, but one of the things he used to say, he would talk about the role of government. He'd say the role of government is to do for people what they cannot do for themselves. And when the first Swedes and Finns and our early settlers came here, they would band together. They like band together and help build houses, and they'd help build a fort, or they'd help build a barn in order to help look after one another. And we still sort of do that today. Only we don't do it like with our own hammers and nails necessarily, our own saws and all, but we do it through organizations like the Pittsburgh Home Loan Bank. And we do it, they have a responsibility, it's been alluded to several times. 10% of their earnings need to go into affordable housing. And that's part of the law that helps create these institutions. They do a great job at it. And we have, we're blessed with Discover Card. And frankly, with a bunch of other banks that are represented here today, they have a responsibility under federal law, including legislation that I worked on when I was a House member, that says that we have a Community Reinvestment Act, which basically the idea is to make sure that we don't overlook the least of these when we're apportioning credit to the community. And the Community Reinvestment Act, we had a big battle when I was in the House and the House Banking Committee as to whether or not that rating that every financial institution just about would garner every year, should it be made public or should it be kept private? And we decided after a lot of debate that it would be made public. And today, for years, our financial institutions, I think out of the goodness of their heart, they try to comply with the letter of the law, but they also create a competition, and everybody wants to be outstanding. And we're just blessed in our state with financial institutions who earn year after year after year an outstanding rating because of their commitment to that law. Let's give them a round of applause. A bunch of them are here. Jim's sort of the lead on this one, but thank you for doing that. Last thing I want to say is this. For most people in their lives, the biggest investment that they will ever make is the home, the house that they live in. How many of you, when you bought your first house, actually went out and paid cash for it? You didn't need any help, you didn't need to get a loan, or anything. How many of you just raise your hand and say, I don't see, well, one guy back there, I want to get his credit card. No, but just kidding. Most of us had to get a loan. And I came out of the Navy, came back from Southeast Asia and moved to Delaware, got an MBA, and got a job as state treasurer. And I didn't have a home. I wanted to buy a home. And I was a GI, I was a Navy guy. And I went to the VA and they said they'd help. They would help. And bank would make the loan, the VA would basically back me up. And we've been doing that for years, that program and all other kinds of programs. A lot of people are unbanked. Too many people are unbanked in our state, in our country. But a lot of people who were unbanked, they're no longer unbanked because they've joined Stepping Stone Credit Union. And they would like to be a homeowner. And they would like to be a homeowner. And it's been impossible to do until now. Impossible to do until now. And this terrific partnership and the big assist on the play with Discover and with the Pittsburgh Home Loan Bank is going to make that dream possible for a lot of folks. I go back 377 years ago, 377 years and 6 months ago, when all those folks set sail on the Kalmar Nickel and the Focal Grip, heading this way. They had a big dream. They had a big dream. They don't know what they're going to find here, but they had high hopes there would be something really special. Today there are more Swedish Americans than there are Swedes in Sweden. And they hit the jackpot, and we're lucky to have them here. And I just want to say to the people here in this state, in this community, who have a dream of being homeowners, you're going to maybe not hit the jackpot, but a lot of you are going to get to see your dream come true as well. And for those who really work to make all of that happen, I just want to say thank you. You're doing the Lord's work. All those Swedes that built that church over there, they'd be proud of you. And they would say, God bless you. Thank you.
So I get the podium now. I promise not more than 2 minutes. Somebody make sure that I don't go over that, because I've got the mic, I got you, I got the senator. All right. The senator mentioned so many beautiful things. 2 things I'll pick up on. One, when I came to America, I only knew this to be a land of opportunities. I didn't know what I would find over here when I landed. And like everyone else who landed here, I also straight off the boat, of all places that I could come into the US, I picked Newark, Delaware. Hello, what was I thinking? But I think this truly has been a wonderful land of opportunities for me. And I want to work, and the Lord placed me in a place where I can do everything to make sure it is the same opportunities for all our citizens over here. The other thing the senator mentioned about was the partnership. From the day that we landed over here, 21 years ago over here, Trinity was a very strong partner. So they allowed us to use this place. Ministry of Caring over there allowed us access to their electrical outlet so we could get our system set up. It's just been a delight and amazing. I'm still floating on cloud 9. I didn't 21 years ago think that I would see this day. So thank you for being a strong partner. Also, I want to say something else. Senator is a member of the credit union. Please follow his footsteps. Every single one of you become a member. I also know Congressman Carney is absolutely devoted to this credit union. And if he could, I know he would drop everything here and elbow the senator out and say, this is my game. So thank you so much. And the same is true for Senator Coons. I think we in Delaware are incredibly blessed to have our congressional delegation that understands us, knows us, wants to get to know us, and be willing to spend a very, very important part of their time with us. We really are truly blessed. I also see that the city is well represented. So Councilwoman Maria Cabrera, a great friend and a member of the credit union, is here. Thank you so much. I invite you all to join in right across the street, Little Bites, and visit and see what you have made possible. So thank you, every single one of you, so much. We did it.